Hi guys, it's Dean Miller. Oh, there I am. Hi guys, it's Dean Miller. I think I'm live. I'm looking a little yellow. Let me check my lighting here. Ooh, I look a little better there, huh? Look at me control my own lighting. I'm turning into a pro here, aren't I? I'm Dean Miller, the dog counselor. I'm here to. Ooh, boy, I'm looking at myself and thinking, gosh, I look rough today. Anyway, rough dog, get it? R-U-F-F, dog, rough. I am here today to talk to you about dog training. My name is Dean Miller, and my business is called The Dog Counselor because I counsel people and their dogs about behavior issues. I work with people. I've worked with people for over a decade, probably close to 15 years, with people and their dogs. I train, I teach, I go to people's homes. I feel that dogs learn differently in their own home than they do out at a class somewhere. And I have developed a method of training that works fast and works effectively and works in your home. And so I decided a few years ago to start a business based upon this. And I've just learned and grown ever since then. And I feel like I have a method that really works. My training is based on the way dogs communicate with each other. So once I teach you a few simple things about dog communication, the dogs understand right away what we're doing. It's just a matter of you learning how to communicate with them and me helping you do that. A dog is not a creature of words. They're non-verbal, okay? I think it's always fascinating to me when people get into this yelling at dogs or their impatience with the dog learning their commands. You know, I see this all the time. Excuse me, people with their dogs saying, sit, 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 sit. They're not even allowing time between the command for the dog to compute it. The fact that dogs learn our words is kind of a miracle of nature because they don't even have the part of the brain. I believe it's called the prefrontal cortex, but do not quote me on that because I'm making this up off the top of my head. But I do know they do not have the mechanic, the part of the brain that makes words and that processes verbal communication. So we, when we're yelling words at them, we're losing. We're losing the battle, okay? So I highly recommend that you think in terms of physicality, of tone of voice. What is your body language presenting? How is your dog perceiving you as another animal? Which we are. We forget that we're animals and they're animals. And if we meet them on that level of being animals, we're going to have a lot more luck communicating with them. I'm just considering this tonight. I think it's the Democratic Convention night tonight. So I'm thinking we're going to have a few less viewers tonight, maybe a few less people thinking about dog training, and maybe more thinking about the impending apocalypse of the world and how we might prevent that through the next election. I don't know. I'm not going to get into politics here. I think that's really a mistake. But I just think it may lessen our audience tonight. But the beautiful thing about, let me lower these lights a little bit. The beautiful thing about Facebook and this live streaming feature is that you don't have to be here live to communicate with us. You can, to watch these shows. You can come back to the Wolf Driver channel, which is this right here. I am on the Wolf Driver Facebook page. And you can return to that Wolf Driver Facebook page anytime you want to. Dial up these videos. I'm not the only show on the Wolf Driver channel. I'm a trainer, a behavior specialist, and I teach training and dog behavior. Dog behavior specialty is my specialty. Goodness, I can't speak English tonight. Maybe I don't have the prefrontal cortex to process words. I don't know. But that's neither here nor there. I'm rambling. If you come back to the Wolf Driver page, which is what you're watching this on right now, these videos stay there and you can just come back and revisit them anytime you want to and learn some stuff about dog training and dogs. And there's some really cool different things. There's music. There are topics about news, dog news features with Britt Savage. There's just all kinds of different things. The Wolf Driver, of course, who drives in his custom-made carts for, pulled by dogs, which is kind of interesting. They're not really sleds. It's not like sledding. It's kind of his own thing. I think you should check that out and see what he's up to. But I have been privileged and had the opportunity here to have an outlet for my methodology in my training teaching, and I'm just glad to be able to talk to you guys about what it is I do. I've also written a book. It's called A Dog's Way, and it is about our relationship to dogs and how dogs actually change us just by tapping into how they think and what they're about. So you can get my book on Amazon.com if you want to check that out. I want to talk about tonight, let me check the time, make sure I'm doing okay on time. You know, the thing with Facebook is we don't have a production crew telling us what's going on, so we have to run our own production. I'm doing my own lighting and sound and everything else. So it's a little informal, but the information is the same, and you're going to get some really cool stuff out of this. I wanted to touch upon the subject tonight of defiance, okay? Defiance in dog training. There are so many different schools of thought on training and what needs to be done and how to train your dog. And so there are as many methods as there are dogs and trainers out there. So I wanted to talk about my particular view, and these are just my opinions, and you can disagree with them if you'd like. I don't have a thin skin about this. But defiance is an often misused word and misunderstood word in the world of dog behavior and training. And I'm moving the camera so you can see me a little bit better. Defiance, things that are described as defiance are sometimes not defiance. A dog they're usually less about they're not trying to frustrate you. I promise you they're not sitting there thinking, let me be defiant so I can make my dad mad and then, whatever. They're not thinking like that. What appears to be defiance in a dog, in my opinion, is often the dog having a desire, wanting that thing he wants, food, toy, getting out the door, whatever, and then disregarding everything else. So when you're saying stop it and sit and don't and quit, and he's ignoring that and going on out the door or going after what he wants, he's not really thinking about being defiant. He's thinking about what he wants. So with that in mind, I think it will change our behavior in trying to shape his behavior. Does that make sense what I'm saying? Let me put it in a different way. If you want some ice cream really, really badly, and I'm holding an ice cream cone, right? And I say, and you're looking at that ice cream cone, and somebody's right here saying, don't do it, don't touch it, don't stop it, hey, don't reach for that ice cream cone, stop it, no, and you keep doing it. It's not that you're so much trying to make them mad, it's that you just want the ice cream, right? And so this is more important to you than what they're saying. That's the best way to put it, I think. What the dog wants is more important to the dog than stopping pursuing what he wants because of what you say. What you say is less important than what he wants at the moment. And when shaping the behavior of a dog, the goal in my mind is to get the dog to desire to want the same thing you want, right? We're not trying to dominate the dog in the sense that the dog is afraid of us. We're not trying to dominate the dog or control their behavior in a way that makes them feel like we're being mean or strong-arming them or whatever. But we need to get to a point where the dog believes that our desire is stronger than their desire, and then gradually shape that behavior and that thought process to where the dog believes that they want what you want because you want it and they want it, and there's a payoff for that on the other side of it. The payoff for wanting the same thing you want is our attention, our affection, our approval, our pride in the dog, being proud of the dog. All of these things are very important to a dog, just like they are to a child. And so if the dog's behavior causes the dog to make you happy, then they're going to do it more and more and more. Okay? Now let me just interject here like a little commercial or whatever. I'm not seeing a lot of notes coming up here on our page. So I am concerned that either I don't have a setting right or something to bring up the comments in the margin. So if somebody would like to write some comments or would like to ask questions or whatever, you can actually send those questions in after we're off the air too. I can answer those questions later. But my feeling is that it's possibly the Democratic convention and people are a little more concerned with the end of the world than they are um, than they are dog training tonight. Oh, I do see one comment. So, okay, people are popping up. Okay, we're here. So, alrighty, now let's get back on topic here for a minute. Defiance. I want to come back to the topic of defiance. I trained a dog today, okay, and this dog had this habit of. This is something you'll see in dogs a lot, and I saw this in this dog today. We start with a very high energy dog, right? And this dog is very high energy, and then not getting enough exercise. So that combination is going to make the dog very, very hard to teach and train. Your dog needs to clear their head, especially a very high energy dog. They need to be able to run and blow that steam off and get that stuff out of their head. When I try to train a dog who is very high energy with very little outlet for that energy, it's kind of like me sitting down with a person who's had 20 cups of coffee, and then I am trying to get that person's attention, and they're jittery from the coffee, and they're thinking about things, and their mind is racing, and they're all over the place, and then I'm trying to get them to think about, maybe doing math problems or something. It's impossible. So if you want to start with the fact that you're fulfilling your dog's needs, which we talked about last week, and if one of their needs is a lot of exercise, then you need to let that dog clear their mind, get enough exercise, and then begin the process of training. Now here's a big thing that happens a lot with training, and this happened with the dog I worked with today, okay? People don't teach their dog on a daily basis. They don't set up rules and structure on a daily basis, and then something goes wrong. So the dog jumps on the counter, the dog dives out the door, the dog growls over their food. These things that go wrong are because the owner, the family of the dog, most likely never did anything leading up to that to establish rules and boundaries. So it's kind of like having a child and waiting till they're 12 years old and then saying, let's learn how to use a fork, or let's learn how to use the bathroom, or let's learn how to listen to your mom and dad, but let's wait till you're 12 to talk about it. When you're with a child at 1 and 2 and 4 and 6 and 8, you're saying things like clean your room and go to bed at a certain time and eat your vegetables, and all those things are leading up to the child listening to you, learning that you're the boss and they're the child. Firm but fair, strong but loving, dad first, friend second, right? But with dogs, for some reason, we just go, live in my house, free for all, figure it out. I hope you guys figure out the rules. Well, that is absolutely absurd and insane. So today I went to this house, and the dog had a lot of high energy, wasn't getting enough exercise, didn't have enough structure, and then the person who owned the dog was having trouble in almost every area because the dog was just doing what the dog wanted. And a dog like that can often dominate a situation. They can become the most dominant one in the room, not through aggression, not through biting, not through fighting, but through sheer I don't care. I call it passive dominance. They have so much energy and they're so big that they just bulldoze through the room and do whatever they want. If they want some food, they go get it. If they want to go outside, they go get it. If they want to jump on the counter, they go do it. And then the owner is saying, stop it, no, quit, don't quit. And the dog's just ignoring that and doing what they want. That kind of defiance is based in wanting what the dog wants. It's not the dog being defiant to the owner in the sense of the dog saying, I'm just not going to listen to you. The dog is just more interested in what they want, okay? And why should the dog listen to you if you haven't established that leading up to it, right? So, I began with the owner today saying we have to first get enough exercise. After the dog gets enough exercise on a daily basis and gets his needs fulfilled, then the dog is able to go, okay, my head's clear. Okay, now I can think straight. What is it we're talking about? What are we talking about? So it's a great place to start. We're able to start the training with, my head's clear now. Now I can think, like a kid doing homework. Let them, they need to eat regularly so they can concentrate. They need to exercise regularly so they can think straight. It's all logical, but we don't think about it with our dogs. I don't understand that. So the dog exercises, the dog thinks straight. Then we start some training. We did some methods today that really helped the owner establish his leadership. And that's another thing. A dog wants to listen to, follow, and obey something that is stronger than they are. And when I say stronger, I don't mean physically stronger or mean to the dog or dominating the dog in an aggressive way. I mean that the person is stronger of attitude. So a dog is an animal, right? And their nature is to follow an alpha dog, a leader. And that leader, they want to turn over their authority to an alpha dog that is kind and fair, but is tough enough to take care of them, tough enough to take on a grizzly bear. And if a dog can dominate you just simply by walking right past you, simply jumping on you, simply moving right through you with their boundless energy, then they start to feel like, well, why should I turn my authority over to you? You have weak energy, right? You have a weak demeanor. So we have to kind of demonstrate that we have this kind of posture and attitude and vibe that says, I'm the boss. It doesn't have to happen all the time. The dog just has to know that you have it in you. And that is going to come up on situations. That's going to bring you to situations where you get into, a head-on challenge with your dog, where you're trying to kind of say, who's going to win this battle. And when I say battle, I mean mental battles, like the battle of getting your child to go to bed at a certain time. It's not a battle of fights or strength. So, for example, I know I'm rambling a bit, but let me tell you that I promise you, the small things lead to the big things. The things that don't seem like much to us become very big things later. Okay? So, for example, let's say today this dog I was training really was into the front yard, wanting to go out the front door, be in the front yard, right? And the dog would just move and try to move toward that goal all the time, okay? A lot of times these things lead to food obsession. The dog wants the food. They just move toward the food. They want a toy. They move toward the toy. So it becomes this obsessive behavior, right? That dog will just pursue what they want unless a force stops them. And that force needs to be your energy, your will, your leadership, right? So in the beginning, there can be some standoffs. So for example, the dog I was training today wanted out that front door, and I would stand between the dog and the front door, okay? Let me take a side note here to talk about what to do when a dog really desires something. Many people at the front door, or when they want to stop a dog from doing something, going out the front, jumping on guests, whatever, they'll grab that collar from behind and they'll pull, right? So they're behind the dog pulling the collar. It's about the worst thing you can do to gain control at the front door or to stop a dog from doing something. And I'll tell you why. You're first of all in the weakest position you can be in. You're behind the dog in a follower position. You're bending over, which lowers your body posture anyway and puts you in a lower, submissive follower position. Then you grab that collar of that dog and you pull, and they pull, and you pull, and they pull. When you pull on a dog's collar, they naturally pull against it, and that is called opposition reflex. They have a reflex to oppose your action. It is called opposition reflex. The easier way to put it is pulling causes pulling. Pushing causes pushing. You know when a dog jumps on you and you push them and they come back for more, and you push them and they come back for more? Pushing causes pushing, pulling causes pulling. So your dog's at the front door, you have a guest, or you have a squirrel in the front yard, or maybe there's that glass door, or whatever it is. The dog is fixated on getting to that. And you're behind the dog, pulling on the collar, saying, no, stop it, don't. And not only all of this stuff, but the dog can't see you. So if the dog can't see you, then it's just this vague voice from behind yelling at the dog. The powerful thing to do is to step around in front of the dog and face the dog. Step 1 or 2 steps toward him into his space and use a low, sharp voice. No. Move. Hey, right? It sounds to them like authority. It sounds like a dog going, no. Hey, stop. And you're in front of the dog, moving into their space, which is dominant movement, dominant behavior into the dog's space. The dog will most likely back up a little bit and rethink what's going on. and then they start to look at you as a leader who's in front of them. They can see you with their eyes. They can sense you. They can smell you. They can see you. When you're behind them, all they sense and see and smell is that target in front of them. So you walk around in front of the dog. You move in. You say no. Now, many dogs with high energy are going to just try to move around you, move around you. They're just move. They're saying, just move. I need to get to that squirrel. Move. I need to get to that person. Move. I need to. And you need to win this battle. So whether it's touching or leash, it's a nice thing to start with a leash in this type of behavior. And you control, right? So in this sense, this would be a moment that a dog would say, that a person would say, my dog is being defiant. So this brings me back to the word defiance, which is my topic for tonight, defiance. And in a sense, and in practicality, yes, this is defiance. The dog is not listening to you and moving around you. But what's really happening is the dog's desire for what it desires is overriding your leadership as an alpha. We need the alpha leadership to override the instinct and the desire. Does that make sense? You as the alpha need to win. And you need to win these smaller battles so that later when you have a bigger battle, the dog is conditioned to listen to you. So, if we have a small battle, like the dog wants to get to your guest, wants to get around the door, wants to get to the food, you win those smaller battles so that when the dog is running toward traffic and his life is in danger and you say, stop, come, the dog listens to you because you've conditioned this. I'll never understand why human beings wait till we're in the middle of a situation to try to teach. We don't wait till a child is urinating in their pants at 12 years old to teach them how to use the toilet, right? We don't wait till we're in a nice restaurant and a 15-year-old kid is throwing mashed potatoes on the walls. We wait till we start when they're 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 years old to teach them what the rules are and who the boss is, right? So that by the time we get into those situations, the child is conditioned to listening. Well, that's the same thing with a dog. So now let's get back to the door. Let's say the dog is, you're standing between the dog and the door. You're blocking the door. Every time the dog dives forward, you're moving to catch him. You touch him, which mimics a little nip, or you can touch him or grab him, or whatever you need to do to block that door. You can use a leash if you need to. You're saying, no, move. Hey, it doesn't matter what you say as much as it matters your voice going rah with authority. Once you're standing up there going, no, stop, no. You're escalating the situation with a bunch of noise. That noise is just escalating the problem. You need to stick to one sound commands and leave some silence in between because that's what gives you power. The silence gives power. A dog will go rah and then wait in the silence for the other dog to sense that they have power. So, you're doing these corrections, these one sound, one word corrections. You're standing between them and the door. And here's the magic thing to pay attention to with dogs, okay? A dog will look around you through your legs. They're deciphering, how do I get to what I want? The mailman is out there. There's guests coming. The pizza guy is here. There's a squirrel on the lawn. Whatever it is. The dog is desiring that, wanting that. I just want to go in the front yard and play. Maybe it's as simple as that. So they're doing this, they're looking around you, they're edging around you, and you just quietly win. So the dog starts to think, well, as I decipher this and I try my own moves, I'm trying this, I'm trying that, nothing's working. The dog will eventually surrender, okay? And when I say surrender, it's not like holding somebody down and saying, cry uncle or something. It's a soft surrender. It is okay, dad, you win, right? So think about like maybe being a parent and getting in an argument with a teenager. The teenager's saying, I want to go out and stay out till 4 a.m. and the father's saying, you can't. And they're going, I'm going to do it anyway. No, you're not, right? That argument doesn't have to come to fists and yelling and screaming. It's just a matter of quietly, strongly winning. And maybe the kid gets mad or doesn't like it or whatever, but it doesn't mean they hate you. They deep down respect you. And that's our goal, is we're trying to get the dog to respect us. If you grab the dog, pull the dog, yell at the dog, you are harming your respect level. We want respect with our dogs. We want love with our dogs. And so just like a parent that you respect, You want to have a balanced, loving, respectful relationship with your dog. So I'm kind of off on a tangent here. But here's what begins to happen. Here's the magic moment. The dog's looking at what they want, looking at what they want, looking at what they want, and there comes a point where they go, and they look at you. You'll see it happen. It's pretty consistent. When you win, that dog's eyes begin to go on to you, okay? And when the eyes go to you, they are shifting. They're making an internal mental shift from, I want that, I want that, I want that, I want that. Okay, yes, sir, what do you want? Okay? They're literally asking for permission. They're turning over their authority to you for even the briefest moment. And that is a magic breakthrough. And this is where people really start to lose their patience. Okay? People lose their patience in the middle of the argument, right? We're trying to say, no, you can't go out the door. No, you can't go out the door. And then by the third, fourth minute, we're so frustrated, right? If there is any way that you can, look, this is like having a 2-year-old. The 2-year-old screaming and having a tantrum, and we're screaming and yelling. We're supposed to be the adult, right? We're supposed to be guiding this child through life. We're supposed to be role models. Role models is the way. That's a great term for it. So for my dog, I'm supposed to be the alpha role model. And if I lose my patience on the 4th try, then what kind of person am I? Now, here's what I would say to you. Now, let me check the time real quick. I don't want to ramble on. I will ramble forever. We are almost out of time. How does this happen? How do we run out of time? Okay, let me get to this really quickly, and if I can't in my 30-minute allotment, I will come back next week and continue this topic. But now I can't think straight. Okay, so here's what it is. Look, you're having a confrontation. You don't have to get frustrated. That's why we want to train when it doesn't matter. I always say train when it doesn't matter. Don't train when you're late for an appointment. Don't train when you got to be somewhere. Train when there's nothing going on. Nothing going on, right? Okay, so when we're teaching and we're training, it should be when nothing else is going on. I'm going to go have door lessons, for example. How to behave at the door. That way I'm patient. That way I can stand there for 6 years if I have to. It won't take 6 years. It'll take about 6 minutes, I promise, if you do it right. But every time that dog, you win, you just win, you quietly win. I often tell people while you're training, think about like vacation. Think about your favorite place to go. Think about the beach. Think about the mountains. Think about something you love to do while you're training. Because we have much more complicated minds that go off in tangents, and the dog's just doing the one thing. I want to go out. I want to see the pizza guy. I want to see the squirrel. So if you'll just stand there and go, hey, stop. No. Hey, just relax. Leave some silence. When the dog finally realizes you're going to win, and they go, yes, sir, you go, great. Then give them something they want. If you have the leash, take them outside. If you have the leash, let's take them on through the door. Let them do something else. Give them a treat. Teach them, okay? Help them. Give them a reward on the other side of this for having given you their authority, right? So it'll become like a marker. The dog goes, okay, I'm not listening, okay, now I'm listening. Boom, you get what you want. The first time's the hardest, the second time's easier, the 5th time's easier. Each time you repeat this exercise, and don't do it for hours, do it for 3 or 4 minutes, leave it alone. Come back and do it in another day or two, or once a day or twice a day. 5 minutes, 5 or 10 minutes at the most, okay? And when the dog does what you want, looks at you for permission, reward that. Reward it, give them what they want, tell them how wonderful they are. And they will begin to shortcut and skip all the mess, all the rigmarole, and just jump right to, I'm sitting, look at me, I'm sitting to you, looking, asking for permission. Now you do that behavior and another behavior and another behavior, and you win and you win and you win, and you do these little behaviors, and I'm telling you, in a week or two, or even less, the dog begins to look at you as alpha dog they respect first and friend second, okay? Now I'm running out of time. I didn't get to all your comments here. Let me see if there's anything urgent I need to answer here real quickly. Okay, let's see here. Oh, my method is working for somebody at home. Great, thank you so much. How do I make a deaf dog mind? I may have to work on that next week. If you have specific questions and you want to talk to me, I can be reached through thedogcounselor.com. You can email me, call me, set up a Skype meeting. I do online lessons. I do phone lessons, and if you're in the Nashville, Tennessee area, I can come to your home, or I do travel. So if you want to book me to travel anywhere in the country, anywhere in the world, we can work that out. My name is Dean Miller. I hope you've enjoyed this and have lasted through my rambling. Anything else you want to know about me is at thedogcounselor.com. I want to thank the Wolf Driver, Bill Hellman, for letting me be a part of this and having an outlet for my training each week. I hope you'll join us. Our next show is going to be Sunday night at 6 p.m. Central Time, and I hope you'll join us for more information. I'll try to continue this topic then. Have a good night, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.